Okay, so the second thing I'm going to show you on this exercise is we're going to create a pair of silly eyes that follow the player around on the pedal. So this is Piskel app, PISKELAPP.com, and we are going to close some tabs. We're going to create a sprite, and I am going to leave this sprite at 32 by 32, and because I'm just going to make a giant eyeball. And what I'm going to do is grab a circle. I'm going to drag it until it fills the whole screen. Now, and let's grab this and switch our color to white and fill the screen. Now, I mainly want to introduce you to the fact that we have to make sure what our sizes are. So what we're going to do is point our transform up at the ball as it moves. Transform up is of course this way. So our eyeball is going to start looking directly upwards. So I'm just going to grab a new circle tool. Can I do that? Make it black. No. There we go. This is going to be kind of a weird eyeball, but that's all right. So do that, and let's make it a blue color. So let's actually set it. Control C, let's set the blue. There we go. Blue, weird blue eyeball. Because usually we have a dark iris in the center, right? So let's change this to black. And getting kind of a weird Addams Family eyeball. You can kind of not even see it. That's fine. We can see the blue, and that's really all I care about. So looks a little bit bigger when it's bigger. Better when it's bigger. Okay, so that's it. And so now I'm going to go to export. I'm going to download a single frame. You can use this to make multi-frame images. I'm going to hit download. It's going to save it as new Piskel-1. I'm going to go to my downloads. Did it not? There we go. We're going to call this eyeball. And then we're going to go back into our exercise. Let's go back to scene. We're going to leave that weird opening scene as it is. And now I'm going to go into sprites. I'm going to go to my downloads folder, grab the eyeball, and drag it in. Now I'm going to want to edit it a little bit because we want our filter mode to be point, no filter. And I'm going to set this to be high quality. Otherwise, this is going to be, it's going to try to not have things be pixely. It's going to try to fade between the images, and that's not what we want. So let's go to scenes, and we'll do scene 1. I just realized I need to do some setups for this. Okay, this is going to break after scene 1. Yep. Okay. I have to make an additional change to this. I'll do that. I did not finish 3C. Okay, so anyway, let's make this. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to grab the comment. So I'm going to do this. Also, another thing is I'm going to grab the comment container. This is from the last exercise and drag that into a prefab. And then I'm also going to open our other scenes. Let's save that scene. Let's go into 2 and let's drag become creator into that one. Let's open this scene. Let's save it. Let's open 3. Let's add the prefab to there. Let's save the scene and then go back to scene 1. There we go. So now this should function correctly in regards to bouncing balls. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to go back when I do this and recommit those so those are in there. So when you see this in your own work, these prefabs will already be there because time is a flat circle. Okay, so got that. Now let's do the thing I actually wanted to do. I'm going to edit my panel and just add some more wackiness to it. So let's actually open a prefab. And I apologize in advance. This code is going to get a little ugly. What we're going to do is we're going to add a face. And all zeros, so you can add a nose and a mouth if you want to. I'm just going to add 2 eyeballs that track the face. So I'm going to create in it a 2D object, which is a triangle. And the reason it's a triangle is I'm actually going to make this work, and then I'm going to put the PNG back in it. So we're going to call this right eye. We're going to order its layer to be like 20. And then we're going to point this at the ball. So what we're going to do is now we're going to add a component, add script machine, add a new script, and we're going to call this ball follow. Nope, come on, visual scripting, ball follow. And pull that off to the side, but I'm working from an old thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit the graph, and we are actually going to save a transform. So the transform we are going to get is we are going to actually just have this be a graph. We are going to call it ball. We're going to change this to transform. And it's going to be none. What we're going to do is when we start, we are going to do game object find. And our ball is always called ball, capital B. So make sure that is correct. So we're going to get that. And then we are going to set ball. We're going to drag it in here. So now we have a reference to ball when we need it. So every frame we don't have to go looking for the ball, we have it. And since we are not actually ever destroying the ball, this should be fine. Now we're going to write some wacky code. And this wacky code goes like this. So we're actually going to start from the back, which is transform set rotation. So what we're going to do is at the very end, we're going to rotate the eyeball to be pointed towards wherever the ball goes. So it's going to start cross-eyed, actually. So we are going to do that, and then off of that, we are going to get Quaternion literal. we haven't talked about quaternions yet. Quaternions are rotation with a time component or another rotation component. It's a rotation around a something. And we need 4 of them to prevent something called gimbal lock, which is a camera term. So in the end, we're going to do a bunch of stuff to this quaternion. It starts at no rotation, and eventually we're going to stick this into our rotation. So we're going to rotate the eye around. So to do that, we are also going to do something called quaternion set look rotation. And we want view and we want up. So it's going to look at something, and we're also going to tell it what the up direction is. So we're going to feed this into here. This really is going to set the look rotation of the quaternion. So I am working backwards. I will then explain it forwards when I'm done going backwards. So we're going to do vector 3 forward. Yeah, vector 3 get forward. And that is going to go into the view. And so we need a rotation. So we're going to set kind of how we're rotating, and then we are going to rotate. So we are going to set the look rotation of that and do that, and then we are going to get yeah. Okay, so we're not done yet. Let's go here. So eventually we're going to set a thing called look rotation, and then we're going to rotate. So we're basically saying how we're rotating and then in what direction. So we're just going to do a rotation. But to do that, we need to work from our current rotation. So transform get rotation. This is our current rotation. And we are going to expose the quaternion, which gives us all these things we can play with. And then we're going to do a quaternion set. So basically, we are going to set the current rotation that we've got. So let's take this temporary one over here. This is our current one. And we're just going to plug these in. Oh, actually, no, sorry. We need to take this one and stick it in here. So right now, our temporary quaternion is going to get set. It's going to be used to set the look rotation of it, and then we're going to rotate it. And then we're going to rotate the object to match it. So take the Z, take the W. So we get our current rotation, expose it so we can get all of its values. We're going to set the temporary one to these values so we can modify them. So there's that. And now we need the up. So the up is going to be, we're going to set it and then set the look rotation. The up is going to be subtraction. This is a direction vector, the same way we do directions for turning or like shooting the object at the player that we did in exercise in project 2. So we're going to go subtract. The end of subtract is going to go into up. And then we're going to subtract our current position. So the position of the eye. And remember, we take our final position. So we're going to get our ball. We're going to get position. And we're just going to subtract because that's destination minus current position is direction towards the destination. So I do all this stuff. So basically we're going to get a position, which is going to actually be the up. We are going to get a vector 3 forward, which is the view we're going for, and then basically we're going to rotate. We're going to grab our current rotation, we're going to do this set look rotation, and then we're going to rotate it. So we're doing a bunch of transforms to this. Sorry if this explanation about what the transform is doesn't make much sense. This is just how generally people do this sort of thing. So this is all of this, so I can rotate it around the Z axis in such a way that it points to the player correctly. So, or really to the ball. So if I do that right, this point will be pointed in towards the ball when I hit play. There we go, it did it. So now, no matter where I move, I mean, I do move, and actually the ball moves a little bit, so the triangle is, but now I hit play, and now it, over time, is turning to look at the ball. Okay? So that still is kind of ugly. So now we can turn that off. I can go into my prefab. Not the block. I want the paddle. I'm going to take this right eye, and then I'm going to replace the triangle with the eyeball. And now it's probably not where I want it, so I'm going to drag it upwards a little bit. There we go. And then really all I need to do now is duplicate and call this left, and then move it over here. And now if I come back and hit play, both of them will look at the ball. So even if I move them around, they turn to look at the ball. And even turn around when the ball goes below them. So once again, to look at this paddle, let me explain this weird system again. The ball follow script gets the ball to begin with, it stores its transform, and then on every update, it grabs its current rotation, gets a rotation, it stuffs it into a temporary quaternion, so I can manipulate it and then rotate it back at the end. And then I'm going to set the look rotation, so the way that it looks. If I don't do that, let me show you what happens if I simply go from on update to set. Sorry, there's also, is that the right box? Yes. So I could, instead of doing all this, let's just get rid of this. Let me show you the wrong way. So one thing you can do is say transform look at, and I can give it a world position. So then I can stick this subtraction here. And then the eyes are actually going to rotate in 3 directions and kind of disappear. They have totally disappeared. And I believe that's because what they have done is, if you look at the face, you look at the eyes, they have rotated in such a way that they are no longer visible. They've rotated in the X and Y positions. Yeah. Rotate to 90, it becomes flat. So it's actually rotating in such a way that you can't see this anymore. Yeah, if I turn it to 90 degrees, it's completely invisible because it's actually pointed, the edge of it is pointed at the camera and there's no visibility. So we don't want that. Instead, we want this to not transform lookout. In 3D, we might use transform lookout, but in this way, we want to do all those fancy calculations, which I totally got on the internet, which is how we get a position and rotate around the z-axis when we're in 2D. So unfortunately, that's kind of the best explanation I have of that. Here it is, big on the screen. Hopefully, you can just implement it and it will function.